Ancient Rome, 44 BCE. The assassination of Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, has left the Republic in chaos. As the dust settles, an unassuming teenager is about to change the course of history. This is the story of Gaius Octavius, later known as Augustus, the heir who would transform a republic into an empire. To understand the rise of Augustus, let's briefly recap who Julius Caesar was. Caesar had been a brilliant general and politician who gained unprecedented power in Rome, eventually being named dictator for life. His military conquests had expanded Rome's territory significantly, particularly in Gaul, modern-day France. Caesar's actions threatened the republican system, which had stood for nearly 500 years. The Roman Republic was based on a delicate balance of power, with various offices, and the Senate meant to prevent any one person from becoming too powerful. Caesar's accumulation of titles and honors upset this balance, leading a group of senators, who called themselves the Liberators, to assassinate him on the Ides of March. It's in the aftermath of this event that our story of Augustus begins. When 18-year-old Octavius learned that Caesar had named him heir in his will, he faced a crucial decision. Should he accept this dangerous inheritance? Caesar's path had led to glory, but also to a bloody end. Many advised the young man to renounce his inheritance and stay out of politics altogether. However, Octavius chose to enter the deadly game of Roman politics, but he would play it very differently from his famous great-uncle. This decision would set in motion a series of events that would reshape the Roman world. At first glance, Octavius seemed nothing like Caesar. Where Caesar was charismatic and bold, Octavius was reserved and cautious. Caesar was a brilliant general who led from the front. Octavius had no military experience. Caesar was known for his oratorical skills and personal charm. Octavius was not a natural public speaker and often appeared sickly. Yet this unlikely heir would prove to be a political mastermind. Where Caesar relied on his personal magnetism and military glory, Octavius would excel in behind-the-scenes maneuvering and coalition building. Caesar had openly flaunted his power, accepting godlike honors and dismissing Roman traditions. He entered the Senate wearing triumphal robes, refused to stand when the Senate approached him, and allowed statues of himself to be placed alongside those of the gods. This had alarmed conservatives and ultimately led to his assassination. Octavius, keenly aware of this, took a different approach. He studied the political landscape carefully, recognizing that while Romans craved strong leadership, they were deeply attached to their republican traditions and resented any hint of monarchy. In response to these observations, Octavius cultivated an image of simplicity and traditional Roman values. He dressed modestly, lived in a relatively humble home, and emphasized his respect for Roman institutions. Where Caesar had been a revolutionary, openly challenging the Republic, Octavius presented himself as its restorer. This shrewd move allowed him to pursue Caesar's goals of power consolidation while avoiding the backlash Caesar had faced. It was a masterclass in political rebranding, turning the heir of a controversial figure into a champion of Roman tradition. Octavius's first political moves showed his cunning. He demanded Caesar's fortune from Mark Antony, Caesar's right-hand man, and used it to pay Caesar's legacy to the people of Rome. This instantly won him popular support, a crucial asset in Roman politics. He also took the name Caesar, associating himself closely with his great-uncle's legacy. This was a double-edged sword. It gave him instant name recognition and a base of support among Caesar's veterans, but it also made him a target for those who had opposed Caesar. Recognizing the need for powerful allies, Octavius formed the second triumvirate with Antony and another powerful general, Lepidus. This alliance allowed them to defeat Caesar's assassins, but Octavius always planned to be the last man standing. The triumvirate was marked by brutality, including prescriptions, essentially legalized murder and theft, against their political enemies. This dark chapter in Octavius's rise is often glossed over in accounts that focus on his later reign, but it demonstrates the lengths he was willing to go to secure power. While Caesar had been a military genius, Octavius was a strategic mastermind. He let his generals, particularly the brilliant Agrippa, handle military matters while he focused on political maneuvering. This approach kept him safer than Caesar and allowed him to take credit for victories while distancing himself from defeats. One of the most crucial conflicts was against Mark Antony and Cleopatra, culminating in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Octavius's victory here eliminated his last major rival and gave him control over Egypt, the richest province in the Roman world. Perhaps Octavius's greatest political skill was in handling the Senate. Where Caesar had antagonized them, Octavius courted them. He maintained a pretense of deferring to senatorial authority, even as he stripped them of real power. In a series of carefully choreographed moves, Octavius gradually accumulated various powers and offices. He became tribune for life, giving him veto power over the Senate. He took control of Rome's most important provinces and their legions. Yet, all of this was done under the guise of temporary emergency measures to restore stability to the Republic. This illusion of maintaining the Republic was crucial to his success. Many senators could tell themselves that they still held power, even as that power slipped away. The result of this political maneuvering by Octavius, now Augustus, was the Pax Romana, a period of unprecedented peace and stability. Where the late Republic had been marked by constant conflict, both internal and external, Augustus brought Rome and its provinces 2 centuries of relative peace. This stability allowed for incredible development. Augustus famously boasted that he found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marble. He oversaw massive infrastructure projects, including roads, aqueducts, and public buildings. He reformed the army, creating a professional force that could defend the empire's vast borders. He established an efficient civil service and a courier system that helped administer the far-flung empire. The Augustan age also saw a flourishing of art and literature. Poets like Virgil and Horace produced works that would define Roman culture for centuries. The visual arts flourished, with new styles developed to glorify Augustus and his regime. But the peace of Augustus came at a price. Behind the scenes, he could be ruthless. He exiled poets like Ovid for scandalous verses, banished his own daughter Julia for adultery, and likely arranged the deaths of potential rivals, including Caesarion, Caesar's son with Cleopatra. Moreover, while he maintained republican facades, Augustus had effectively ended the Republic. He held supreme power, setting a precedent for the emperors who would follow. The freedoms Romans had fought for centuries to protect were quietly smothered under the Augustan velvet glove. As he lay dying in 14 CE, Augustus supposedly asked, "Have I played my part well in the comedy of life?" He had indeed. The boy who entered the stage as Caesar's unknown heir had exited as the most powerful man in the Western world, having fundamentally reshaped Rome's system of government. The reign of Augustus marked a turning point in Roman history. He achieved Caesar's goals of supreme power, but did so in a way that lasted. His methods were often subtle, sometimes devious, but undeniably effective. Was Augustus a good emperor? He brought peace, prosperity, and cultural flowering. But he also ended a 500-year-old republic and established an autocracy that would last for centuries. His reign set patterns that would define Western civilization for millennia, influencing everything from art and literature to law and governance. What do you think of the methods employed by Augustus? Was the stability he brought worth the loss of republican freedom? How do modern politicians balance popular support with institutional power? Share your thoughts in the comments. Are there leaders today who remind you of Augustus? How do you think the Augustan approach to power compares to that of modern political figures? As we reflect on the legacy established by this first Roman emperor, it's important to remember that his rise to power didn't happen in isolation. In our next video, we'll take a step back and explore a crucial figure who played a significant role in the events leading to the ascension of Augustus, Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. We'll examine how Cleopatra's relationships with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony shaped Roman politics during the turbulent transition from republic to empire. Her story provides a fascinating counterpoint to that of Augustus, offering another perspective on the power dynamics of the time. We'll explore how successors handled the imperial system that Augustus built, and how Rome fared under rulers with less political finesse. We'll briefly look at emperors like the infamous Caligula, the tyrannical Nero, and the philosopher king Marcus Aurelius. Subscribe to dive deeper into this pivotal period of history where personal ambitions and political maneuvering shaped the course of an empire. If you're interested in learning more about Julius Caesar and the events leading up to the rise of Augustus, check out our previous video on Caesar's life and assassination. Remember, as Augustus showed, real power often lies not in bold gestures, but in patient maneuvering and careful image management. We look forward to reading your comments.